It's the Already Canceled podcast. Welcome back. I'm your host now, I guess, Chris. And this is Christian. This is Orlando. And this is Leo. Welcome back. We have another exciting podcast for you guys. We're going to be talking about the most dreaded, the most undeserving topic, I guess we can talk about, adulthood. It's something that has sneaked upon us in recent years. Now that we're no longer, I guess you can say, kids, we've got responsibilities, we got bills. So we're gonna talk about that today. We're gonna open up a little bit about it, and we're gonna give our perspective, our thoughts. We're gonna go deep into this conversation. Hopefully, not be more depressed about the state of our life. But you know what? We're still young. There's still a lot to look forward to. A lot to look forward to. We're not bums. We have a lot of potential. We just have to realize it. So we're gonna, kick this podcast off with Christian. We have a couple questions. We're gonna go the same format we always do. Go around round table style. So I guess we can start it off. First question is, when did you realize you were an adult?
So I would like to start the podcast not with that question, but I would like to say, Orlando, we got demoted. So we used to be the host. It used to be a two-man show, and then Chris said, "You know what? Y'all suck. I can do a much better job."
No.
And I would agree. I think you do a much better job.
No,
he's just a fan favorite.
You know what happened? Chris, in his lawyer job or whatever, he saw how things are actually ran.
He's a professional talker.
Yes.
Versus you and I are professional. Shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
It's because I had to learn how to persuade the jury. I had to learn how to talk to the judge. So I guess I'm just kidding. I'm just bullshitting.
He's not.
Typical lawyer.
No. I have talked in front of a jury and a judge, and it's not fun.
Where were you at when I was at jury duty? I wanted to get excused faster.
All right, but you didn't want to start with that question. You said.
No, I was just fucking with you. I'll start it off. So
but hold on. Before you start, adulthood in our view, I guess in my view, so we can have a little background. Adulthood is I guess that moment of your life when I guess you have to wake up and you have no other choice but to go to work. Adulthood can be anything from having a bunch of responsibilities you didn't have as a kid. So I guess, with that little background in mind, Christian, now, when did you realize you became an adult?
So I don't know if y'all share the same experience, but my parents never really babied me. Maybe my mom did a little bit, but my dad never really did. So growing up, I was always kind of, not to say I could do whatever I wanted, but the choices I made were up to me. Mm-hmm. So that was through middle school, through high school. So it kind of always had that sense of, I'm responsible for myself. My parents aren't necessarily responsible for me. So I don't necessarily think I can pinpoint a specific point. I think it was just kind of always when I was coming up, it was just, I'm not on my own, but I'm responsible for myself. Gotcha. I didn't necessarily need bills or a job to come into that, but I mean, it was kind of just a natural progression. Once that did come in, it was just like, oh, okay, this is the next step. It wasn't an eye-opening moment like this is what the world is. I was kind of always in that mindset.
Gotcha. But now, when did you realize that you weren't a kid anymore, I guess you can say?
College, because that's something that my parents couldn't help me navigate through. They're from Mexico. So my dad didn't finish, never went to high school. My mom graduated high school. College here's obviously they never went to college, so that's something that I had to navigate for myself.
Yeah,
I had older sisters who had went to college, but I'm not the type of person that likes to ask for help. So I just figured that shit out on my own, and that's was another step in realizing if this is something I'm gonna do, I have to do it for myself. Nobody's gonna do it for me.
Gotcha. So
that was the eye-opening moment. I mean, simple as registering for class. Paying for classes. If y'all had y'all's parents pay for y'all's college, shout out to you. That was not my experience. And I mean, just going to school, just trying to set yourself up for a better life. So
I guess in that moment, that's when you realized.
That's when I realized, if I do anything with my life, it's my responsibility. It's
Gotcha.
Nobody else's responsibility. I'm responsible for myself. So
gotcha. But you had that background always that it's my choices are my responsibility.
I was a badass little kid, so yeah, it was always just. Getting in trouble and then trying to finesse, so my parents didn't find out, so I was always responsible for myself.
Gotcha. Now moving on to my main man, Orlando. When did you realize that you became an adult?
I always kind of take a little pause, because I don't.
Yeah,
but I
no,
always
no,
know
no,
what
you're
I
fine.
know what to say now though. But going to a little background, I started driving like around when I was 17 years old. Like I remember the first time I took the truck like out was for prom.
That green Ford.
Yeah,
Green Ford. Was crack.
shout out to the F-150. Hey, I'm built for tough. But I remember that was the first time like going to prom. Like that was the longest I ever driven. And so right after prom, like I drove the truck to my cousin's house, which was even longer than what I had ever driven before. And actually I got into the freeway. So those little steps like kind of were like, oh wow, like I'm actually doing like adult things, which is like something as small as driving is something like and then so that's like prom and all that stuff. And then I graduated, and then the whole summer was like, oh, I went to Cuba, and I was still living like the dream. And
I remember that.
and then so that was like July. I turned 18 in August. I think it was like a week before classes started. My dad asked me like, hey, are you gonna go to school? I'm like, nah, Dad, I don't want to go to school. So I was kind of forced to like, he gave me a credit card, and because I told him like, oh well, I don't have money to go to school. So he gave me one of his cards, and he was like, well, go sign up. So I remember going to Lone Star, and just like I guess like you said, I didn't have anyone to really guide me. So I went, I got information. I had to go back a few more times, take the right paperwork. I had a week left, so I kind of got some crappy classes, and my whole mentality was that I wanted to work already, because I'm like, I want to have money, I want to be able to spend, I want to be able to do whatever I want, and my dad was always super against me getting a job, and so. I think I still had a kid mentality in that point where like, oh, I can easily just work and go to school and it'll work out. It's not going to be hard, blah, blah, blah. And I remember I got a Friday morning class, a terrible mistake. And I got a Saturday morning class too, another mistake. And I had one class from, I think Monday and Wednesdays from like 6 to 7:30 or
in the morning.
No, in the afternoon.
Oh,
so like my whole schedule was already completely messed up.
Yeah.
And so I kept on instigating or asking my parents like, hey, I want to work. And so my mom was like, all right, I had enough. So she kind of took me to Walmart, and I think she knew one of the managers. So he kind of he's like, put your application in, we'll get you. And so I got hired in October. My dad was so disappointed. He was like, I don't want you to work. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna do this. And so I started working overnight. I don't know if y'all remember.
I remember.
And so I was like, surprisingly, like I've never been like at that point in my life, like I had always been kind of lazy and not really good at one particular thing. Like I always knew like how to do things at church, but other than that, I didn't feel like I was responsible, man. But I was a hard ass worker. I'm not gonna lie. Like my first week there, they were like, oh, we're gonna keep you in the frozen department. I don't know if y'all. I think Leo.
I've seen you once.
yeah, I've seen you a couple times.
I was out there one night.
Yeah,
talking for a while.
And then, man, I had that frozen department on check. And so, but after like 2 or 3 months, I kind of got tired of working overnight. And I spoke to my dad. I'm like, hey, is that offer still available where, I kind of just don't work anymore and you'll pay for my classes and just give me gas money? And he's like, look, I'm really sorry, but this was your choice. Now you have to stick with it. And so at that point, I felt like the whole world kind of just fell. And I was like, what the heck, man? Like, I really now have to go to work. I can't quit. I think I had already taken out the Scion. I don't know if y'all remember the Scion.
Oh, yeah.
So I already had that bill on me. So what was it, like $429 a month or plus like $200 on insurance. Oof. So I remember I was probably making like, I don't know, like $700 to $800 with, bi-weekly. So that was like half a
damn.
Fuck, bro, that hurts my soul.
Hey, but I think that during that little period of time, I was like, wow, like what the hell did I get myself into? And so eventually I ended up, I worked my ass off and I got promoted to department manager. It raised me up a little bit, it wasn't too much, but I was starting to get life, the situations, and then I think that's the point where I kind of was like, wow, like one dumb decision after another, or I don't know if it was dumb, but it was just situations where you kind of want to have nice things and
you learn.
And I learned. And but yeah, that's my story. I think that's the point where I kind of was I transitioned from a kid to an adult, paying your insurance, my car note, then having to get an easy tag account, And then like I remember my first credit card too. Shout out to Macy's. You really screwed me over.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me.
What about you, Leo?
I don't know if you could call it when I realized I knew I was an adult, but I know I had to. Well, I did. Like I grew up when my dad started, making mistakes and shit. I realized at that point I couldn't depend on anybody. My mom, she had to make shit happen. I had to work, and that was around like 2007. So I was what 12 years old.
Shit, man.
So, had to start working. Had to, kind of find my own way. I wouldn't necessarily say I paid bills, but my mom didn't have to worry about my school clothes, my
Pocket
supplies, shit like that. Like I kind of came up with money to, depend for myself. At one point, I didn't even live with my mom. I moved out and lived with my aunt because like shit was just so messed up that I transferred schools to live with my cousin Robert, y'all know. And during that time I basically like raised myself.
Shout out Robert.
So ever since 12, 13, like I had to make shit happen one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because honestly, I remember you in high school. I'm like, damn, like this dude got a truck already.
This
like,
kid's going through it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I remember I met Leo and I'm like, dang, like this guy's already making money and
Yeah.
like making like because I don't think you were open with us, but you kind of made it seem like, oh, I work and all that stuff, and right after school I have to do this or do that.
It's crazy how y'all see me that way, and I'm like, and from my perspective, like I was just surviving, dude.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I mean, it was tough.
But during that point, did you ever? Because of course you were still a kid technically, but did you ever find like some sense of normality like throughout that?
Fuck no. I mean,
That's
I
harsh.
was literally like in survival mode. Like my mom made damn near no money. Like I enjoyed high school however I could, but literally like my presence or my life was literally paying, I wouldn't say paying bills, but having food to eat, making shit happen, and like in a way surviving. That's what my life was during those years, from like 7th grade all the way up through I'd say my junior year of college. Like life was about just having food to eat, making sure we had a roof over our head, and going to school, trying to. Because I will say, the day me and my mom were on bad terms when we graduated high school. We were in a fight because I wanted to go to college. She didn't have money to pay for it. I had no other option, so I was in woodshop. And that night, the day of graduation, I read a letter that she left me, and I read it, I cried, and I'm like, damn, like I don't have an option to go to college. So I had gone to like a career fair or something for technical school and shit. So I was gonna go apply to be a mill worker assistant, like a starting position to go work with wood. And that's what my life, that's the path I was gonna take. But I was blessed enough to where Sam's dad, well, he was gonna pay for a meal plan at U of H because I had already accepted classes. I went to the the orientation and shit, but I couldn't afford that. So I was like, the meal plan was like $1,700. So I'm like, hey, can you just give me a check for that amount and I'll go to Lone Star? And that's what set me on track to start school.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I guess
So it's all good people help good people, man.
I mean, in a way, like the way I look at it is like God found a way for me. That's my outlook. But yeah, since I was like 12, I had to survive.
Yeah, man. That's a very different perspective from adulthood. I think you just got thrusted into it. I mean, adulthood could mean different things, and for you, it was just about surviving.
I'll add, I think we were sophomores. I worked at a restaurant off of Aldi and Bender. I think the owner was like a drug dealer because that was a strip club turned like bar, and he wasn't able to get his license to
So alcohol.
as a strip club. So he turned it into a restaurant. And that was my first like legit job, bro. I worked like from, I don't know, 7, 8 p.m. till 3 in the morning, wake up, go to school, and do that during the week. And then I'd walk my ass home from Airline and Aldi Mender to Imperial Valley at 3 in the morning.
Fuck.
Damn, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told
I
you.
don't know. I've never. This is the first time I
It's
hear.
the first time I hear about it too.
So
Wow.
the day I become fucking wealthy, bro, that's gonna be dope to look back to and
Wow.
tell my kids.
That's
Bro, would you slept like what, 2 hours?
Yeah, some nights, yeah.
damn.
It
You
was
had
tough.
and you had some kids sleeping 2 hours, but they were out playing video games.
And look at it now, like look back at a high school kid, bro. That's a kid.
yeah,
You know, that's crazy.
Well, it's but at high school we all think we're grown and we can make our own decisions. But
no, and not only that, but I mean, in high school, most of us are just sheltered, and like we were at the grace of having our parents and everything. Like I can't relate to none of that. Like my parents gave me everything they could, and just hearing that just makes you like realize like you take all that stuff for granted. Like
And I did, because when I was a kid, I guess when I was elementary school, my dad made money, and I was that spoiled little kid.
yeah,
And you never really appreciated that till like life fucking came at you and like, damn, parents divorced, parents lost like 3 houses or whatever. So like you literally had to survive. Like,
Yeah.
bro, that's dope. It's dope to me. I look at it now and it's like, it's dope being able to have seen both sides of that world and know the difference. So I know what it's like to have nothing, and then I know what it's like to have an abundance of things.
yeah,
So you really learn to value.
yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
Well,
But going through it was like, fuck.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to move on from that.
End the podcast right there. That's
no,
real
but
story.
I mean, I guess going to me, I don't want to make it sound like I'm just talking about me, but honestly, I can't realistically say I have felt adulthood, mostly because I've been in school like for the past 8 years, and but I guess I had to start taking some responsibility. I would say in 2017 is when I got my first, because I worked at Chipotle, and that was a BS job.
fucking up the chicken.
No, fucking up the rice is what it was. But that's when I started working at Home Depot. That's when I was like full in class, full. I was working 25, 30 hours at Home Depot, and I was making it work. And that's the time when like my parents were like, all right, I oughta, you can start buying your own stuff and whatever. I'm like,
wait, Chris, but what made you start working?
I worked because like it was getting to the point where, like, let's see, 2017, that's when I think that's when we turned 21, right? I mean, that was to the point where, like, if I wanted to go out or something like that, like, it was embarrassing to ask my parents for money, like legit, like, Dad, can I have $40 so I could go drink? That kind of deal. So that's when I realized, I'm like, oh shit, now I got to go work. So I mean, and then I started seeing like Christian working while he was going to school, Leo working while he was in school, and I was like, damn, like I feel like a bum. And everybody, would always make me feel bad, like, oh, like you just go to school and you don't have to work. Your
That
parents
good
give you
life.
everything.
Bro, that must have been nice, bro. I was going to school, working, and still broke as shit. So
Yeah. And
pain
especially
in the
like
ass.
when we went to A&M, and I had to ask my mom for $100 so I can go pistear at A&M. Like, que vergüenza, bro. Like,
I used to give you gas money, bro. Don't lie.
yeah. And then Christian will help out with gas money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's when I realized, and ever since then I worked and gone to school, and it's manageable, but I did it. But I guess
I would like to add real quick. I think you were opposed to both of y'all. You felt like you had to get a job. You were forced to get a job. The first time I got a job, I actually like did it out of my own will. Like I wanted to do it for
Yeah.
that same reason. I didn't want to ask my parents for money. Like if I wanted to go Subway, if I wanted to take a girl out somewhere, I could do it.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that.
yeah, that's. I mean, everybody grows differently, and
Yeah.
But I guess we'll move on to the next question. What's what in your perspective, what do you think the biggest difference is, now, from when you were, starting to realize you were in adulthood, or even comparing it to when you were a kid, like when did you start realizing, things started becoming different?
When I started thinking about the future.
Thinking about the future.
That would, for me, that's the biggest thing. Because whenever you're younger in high school, like you said, you think you know it all. You think you're an adult. You think, oh, I'm grown. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. But you're not thinking about the future. So even when I was in high school, I never thought about a college. I only thought about college up until like the last minute. Like I always knew I wanted to go to school for engineering, but I never put any effort into it until it was time to make a decision. And low key, I kind of regret that because I could have gone to a better school. I feel like I could have gotten more scholarships and stuff if I had actually applied myself. So once I was actually in school, I was like, okay, I need to look to the future and see what I want to do and set myself up so I don't feel this regret again. So for me, that's the moment whenever I started planning ahead.
Planning ahead.
Yeah.
Orlando?
Y'all remember me from high school pretty well. So like to me, it was like I was the dumbest kid out of all the smart
He
people.
wasn't dumb. He was just lazy.
I was hella lazy. Like I remember sometimes in what was it, AP Physics, that I would just sit there in class and people would be doing their work. And
In your defense, nobody knew what the fuck was going on.
well, yes and no, but I remember like sometimes like during the test, I wouldn't even do my test. Like I would just slide my test over to somebody else. They'll like, I just told them like, just make me get a 50 or a 60.
Who'd you slide it to?
I won't say any names,
Say
but
the name.
oh, shout out to Amanda.
Hey, there you go. Shout out to Amanda.
Hey, but she helped me out a few times. Like cause AP Physics, like there are some concepts that I would understand, but then again, it was just so hard, like for me to grasp all that stuff. And so, well, going back to my point where I was really careless, but the reason why I was careless is because I grew up Christian and I always believed in the second coming of Jesus. And dead ass, I thought the second coming of Jesus was going to happen during my high school year. my high school lifetime, I swear. So
you weren't worried about the future.
So with that mentality, yeah, I really stopped caring about anything in the future. I was just like, hey, let me get by. I would get C's or B's to not get kicked out or whatever. And then the first person that really challenged my strategy was because I could listen to a whole teaching and I could just answer it back. Like that's how my brain would work at the time. And I remember Miss Trish. I don't know if you ever had her.
Yeah, she was a history teacher.
Yeah. And so basically this was my junior year, Miss Trish. She basically made it to where like, I think a lot of the kids hated it too, but they would do their work, but I would never do my daily work and I would just depend on the test to pass. And that worked out for like the first the first 6 weeks or whatever it was at the time. And then after that, she saw like, hey, she changed it up to where like all the grades actually mattered. And so I remember, hey, I would have to go into tutoring and make up my work and whatnot. And so during that time, like I was like, man, like I don't know what to do with my life. So I felt really stuck, like with, I don't know what I want to be a teacher, but teachers don't get paid. I like TV and media, but I don't know where I can do that career at. Like for one moment, I thought I would go work for like Univision or like any any of these like TVs or media or whatever, because that's what I enjoyed. Like I would enjoy recording, whatnot. And so like during that time, it was like kind of like, man, like I need to start making decisions and make choices because I felt like time was running out. Like by senior year, like I had no idea what I was doing. And so I thought I was going to have like the easy, like 4 to 5 years and graduate, but life didn't work the way for me. Cause I just, to this day, like I really enjoy what I do. So I'm a software analyst, / quality assurance, software tester,
software engineer, baby. Just don't complicate it.
No, I mean, not to that point, but it's like whenever you make these decisions, it's like you don't know what you're doing. It's a yes or no, and then you just move on. So that's whenever I felt like that's whenever it hit me the most, like that I was that moment or those moments in life
where you had to start making decisions.
Yeah,
gotcha. Leo.
Ese güey nació ya, hombre.
I know, man. That man
he came out of the womb, man.
Nah, I guess, from being a kid to being an adult, I think the biggest difference is carelessness. Like as a kid, you're worry free, whether you're rich, poor, whatever. Like I remember when I was like 2 or whatever, bro. We lived in a literally a room this big. Me, my dad, my mom, and my sister. And I was happy. I had a family. I had food. We were poor as shit. But at that age, my only toy was I remember it vividly. It was a blue crayon, those fat crayons, a blue one, and I would write on lottery tickets. So that was my entertainment. And the main thing I would eat was tomatoes. And then, so, I was happy. I was carefree. But then, like 12 forward, I think that was during that stage of my life, it was about survival and, having, getting by. But now I feel that as a full grown adult, independent, whatnot, it's my main focus now is not having to go through that again. And if, I have kids or whatever, to give them that security to not have to go through what I had to go through and, build a better foundation for those who are coming after me. So that's my response to that.
Wow. So, as the most qualified adult in the room,
I'm nowhere near the most qualified adult.
Mr. Soon-to-be licensed lawyer. When did you realize you were an adult, or it was time to grow the fuck up?
Well,
that wasn't the question.
That was already the previous question.
We were at what's the biggest difference?
What's the biggest difference?
Hey, let the man host.
Oh, sorry. This is why I got demoted from host, because I got the questions mixed up.
Well, I guess responsibility, because you get to a certain age where, like, I guess when you're young, you really don't have responsibility.
Shit gets real.
Yeah. No,
Quick.
Seriously. And it's just responsibilities as once you get one, it starts piling one after the other. And, you do have the responsibility of, going to school and stuff like that. But I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, well, for me, like, I literally just went to school, went home, and that was it. Like, and I had, like, the rest of the day, it's just like, it's insane. Like, I had so much free time. And now it's just like, I'm thinking about now the responsibility that I have. It's just, I have work, and then I have to, keep up with my courses. I got to make sure I graduate. And then I got the responsibility of preparing myself for the bar exam. And then, the whole responsibility of just being an attorney by itself. I'm going to be held up to like a whole high standard.
Yeah.
It's just.
You look nice in suits, though, I will say.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So I guess that's the biggest difference is, like, every stage of my life, there's new sets of responsibilities. And I think that's what's very distinguishable. It's just like, because I can think of the responsibility that I had when I was in high school compared to when I, got my first credit card, when I got my first car payment, stuff like that. So I guess, the responsibilities get more serious. And, you can tell, you can block it off, parts of your life. And, eventually we're going to have responsibilities of, maintaining a family, a house, your wife, your kids, like Leo was saying. So I think that's for me.
It's a natural progression.
Yeah, I got something. None of us said it, but I remember the first time paying taxes. That kind of was like another slap in the face.
Filing your taxes?
Yeah, because I remember I started working in 2014.
Yeah.
So in 2015, I didn't have to file because it was under 16K.
Yeah.
So in 2016 was my first time having to file, and I was like, "What
Filing
the hell?"
by yourself or having your parents claim you?
My parents never claimed. I don't think they claimed me like they claimed me, but at 2016 I had started filing for myself.
Oh, okay. My parents claimed me till 2017.
No, but that was crazy for me because it was like, where do I go? What do I do? How can I get more money back? How do people get back $6,000 to $7,000, $8,000? And
should I have 3 kids?
All the tax credit. It's tax season. Don't forget to pay your taxes.
TurboTax. We are not sponsored.
But that hit me though, and I was like, I don't know if you ever feel that same experience like with your taxes. It's like, like crap, you gotta either you get money back or you're paying back or whatever the situation is. Like
Now, when I was in college, my parents always claimed me so that they could get all the credits for it.
Yeah, my parents
And
got all the
then
time.
they would, whatever money they would give me back based off of how much I earned and the credit I got for school, they would give it to me.
got you.
They
Okay.
So
never
they-
did that for me.
They would basically just pay the accountant. I would give them my shit, and then they would give me however much they needed for me. They just wanted the credit for having somebody that was in college.
You know, my parents live in 230A and I live in 230B.
That's funny.
So I guess moving on, I guess we can group these two questions is, what do you miss most about being a child, and, what do you take for granted of your time back then?
The carelessness, I mean, of being able to just, bro,
Fuck
like
up.
Friday, Saturday, you get home from school, you don't got nothing to do, you can do whatever you want. Like
Video games.
you don't have to plan ahead. You can live life in the moment versus now as an adult. I don't know for y'all, but for me, I'm always trying to look ahead at like, okay, this is where I want to go. How do I get there? Versus when you're a kid, you're like, fuck it, let's do whatever. Like whatever the day brings, let's do it. So for me, that's definitely the biggest difference. Is just freedom and
And what do you miss about it?
what do I miss about it?
Just the carelessness?
Waking up at on Saturday mornings, watching Yu-Gi-Oh, eating pancakes or cereal. That was always nice. And then just going to my friend's house next door, jumping on the trampoline. I had a good childhood, man. I can't complain. So do I miss it? Yes, but I always have good memories to reminisce on. So
Beautiful.
it's a natural progression of life. So I'm not upset about it.
Can you repeat the question for me? Sorry. I heard the first part. but
What do you miss about being a kid, and what do you take for granted, from your youth?
So I missed the summers, like not going to school during the summers. Like you would always have a reason to live. I think that was the reason to keep on moving up in life was like, hey, you finish like your first 9 weeks and then you have like your Christmas break and then or first semester, then you have spring break and then you have your summer. So I really miss looking forward because
It is true.
time you didn't go to school.
Now
But-
there is no summer break. We gotta work.
Now we
Now we gotta work May, June, July.
You
August.
get holidays.
That was
during
2-3
the
months
year.
off, baby.
Hey, but then
2-3
something
weeks.
else I miss was, or I guess I take that for granted, like because in the summer your breaks is like, man, I'm bored already, or I have nothing to do, and then I do miss like just the times I would get out of school early were like, I don't know, 2:30 or 3, and just napping for like so many hours, and then just staying up to like 2-3 in the morning going to school and whatnot. But yeah, it's just, I think with my job now, it's a little easier because I can work around. I mean, I
He
take
works whenever he wants. That's what he's trying to say.
kind of, but
Yeah.
but my work, I'm still able to travel. I'm able to take my breaks whenever I need them. Just I don't have that flexibility to say, or now I don't like taking a whole week off. I rather take like a Thursday, Friday, and then Monday, Wednesday, because I want to be at work so I can know what's going on.
Not miss out on the
Gotcha.
lot.
Yeah.
I'm the
And you
same
got to
way.
come back and catch up. It's a pain in the
Leo?
ass.
Do I miss being a child? No, I had a shitty childhood, so no. And
Is there something you took for granted?
that I miss my sister, my older sister. Even like the fights, spending time with her. She was like my second mom. Haven't seen her in 11, going on 12 years. So I took for granted having her around.
Yeah.
But in a generalized answer, no, I don't miss anything about being a kid.
Gotcha. I love the real answers from you, man. It's a really good balance, honestly.
Yeah. You know what I miss? So like, sorry to interrupt you, Chris. PBS kids, man, I miss
Hey,
Arthur.
the Rough Show, or what was it? The Rough Bit?
Nah, Sawa, bro.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, with the dog.
Yeah, the monkeys,
Ahora son
Curious
perros
George,
todos
and all that.
I was-
Clifford.
man.
The
Hey, big shout out to
Simpsons,
PBS, man. I didn't have cable. so-
Teletubbies. Yeah, me neither. It was all Fox cartoons and PBS. King of the Hill. That's my purse.
Nah, I
I
remember.
don't know you.
I remember staying up as a kid, and like whenever Adult Swim would come on, I'm like, ooh,
Oh, he had a cable.
I shouldn't
Yeah.
be. I shouldn't be watching this.
You had that good life,
they,
bro.
They, they living good on Brandon Iron, bro. They have cable over there.
on the other side of the
On the GT side of Brandon Iron.
Nah, but for me, honestly, The thing I miss about being a kid is honestly it was those summers, man. I was very fortunate. My mom didn't work when we were younger, and she would do her best to take us out, every day that she could, and just I remember going to Splash Town during the summers and coming home eating pizza and stuff like that, and I really do miss the what is it, the innocent, the innocent, being a child and just enjoying the moments of not having responsibility, just being a kid. And one thing I do take for granted is like Leo, like I mean, I am close with my brother and sister now more than I've ever been, but you know, I wish we would have had built a better foundation when I was younger. Um, I took for granted, not because honestly, I think from being kids to growing up as teenagers, like I couldn't tell you that I loved my brother and my sister. Like it was weird, but to say, but I love them to death now, and I really wish we would have been closer when we were younger. But I'm glad that we're good now. So we're ending towards the podcast. We're gonna go through these last few questions fairly quickly, mostly because it's a self reflection upon ourselves and self reflection about what we talked about today. So, lastly, guys, I want to ask you, are you right now who you wanted to be when you were younger? And also, if you were to tell, your younger self something, what would it be? So, Christian.
Repeat that one more time.
Are
Sorry.
you are where you thought you would be when you were younger, and
Yeah.
what would you tell your younger self?
Or a word of advice if we have a younger listener, who's still figuring stuff out. What would you say?
I mean, I never really planned ahead when I was a kid. Like I always knew I wanted what I wanted to go to school for. But I mean, just actually applying to actually looking into scholarships, applying and shit, so I could have gone to a better school, or could have gotten a more complete, I guess, college experience, so I didn't have to fucking work the whole time and spend half the day at work. And because I skipped most of my college experiences, I would have skipped class. I would only show up for the exam, so most of it was just working and try to make do with the time that I did have. So if I could go back and tell my younger self, like, actually apply yourself, and that's probably what I would do. But am I where I wanted to be? I never planned that far ahead, so I don't know.
Are you happy with where you are right now?
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. I mean, I'm always the type of person that kind of wants more. Wants more out of myself, but I think we're getting there. So
All right, we're still growing.
yeah,
Orlando?
I'm cool with it.
For me, it's like don't stop being lazy. I think at that age, I didn't realize I was creating habits that now I'm trying to break, and they're hard. So stop being lazy and stop quitting. Like, cause it's so easy to get caught up on being lazy and just quitting. Like you have a new challenge, or I'm just gonna quit. And so I think I've seen that in my adulthood where, it's like just quitting has been so easy to me, or as easy as ghosting people or whatnot. So I would tell myself like, hey, don't quit, keep on fighting. And to answer the second part, I don't think I'm happy where I'm at, but then again, I'm not mad, sad, or angry or depressed.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, so it's kind of like well, it's because like you get to a point in life, it's like you can't beat yourself up forever. Like you can't feel sorry for yourself because it's like it's not gonna take you anywhere. So now to me, it's like start breaking those bad habits. So now it's like being physically active, like going to the gym, taking care of my body, eating healthy. Because as kids, I wouldn't eat healthy and stop being lazy because it's so easy to be lazy. It's so easy to procrastinate. And stop quitting. Like, so to me, that's if I could go back, or I get on my brother a lot because super smart kid, but laziness is something that kind of hits us. So,
Gotcha. Leo?
Am I who I wanted to be when are you who you wanted to be when you were older?
Younger. Sorry.
Younger. Yeah. Someone
I
wrote
wanted
this
to be
wrong.
Eddie Guerrero, so no.
I want to start off by saying that we're all just barely getting started. So that's good. But I do have this very, very vivid memory, dude. It was summer after freshman year, so we were about 15. And it was me and he was one of my best friends, childhood best friends since like 5th grade, who passed away in 2016. They shot him.
Yeah.
We were in construction, right? We were laborers. We were demoing this restroom, concrete. Walls were concrete and everything. And then the main guy came in and he asked us like what we were doing, and we told him, and he's like, "Aren't y'all too young to be on this job site?" And my friend at the time, he was about to be a dad at 15, and he told him, he's like, "I'm about to be a dad. I got to provide." And he obviously it was against the law to be working at that age, but he just saw us, and we were working hard. And he saw us and he just like nodded his head and left. And that's when, to me, the dream of, one day being a boss and having people at your command and shit like that, that's when that dream to me came. And to, one day run a construction company. And looking back is like, damn, I'm already there. And, that's where it started. So it's dope to look back at that moment in time and look now, and it's like, damn, you're already there. So you're kind of barely getting started. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily where I want to be. And like I said, I'm just getting started, but it's cool to know that I've accomplished that much despite all the adversities that life has brought. And, any advice I'd give to any younger kid is like, never give up. I mean, like they say, tough times don't last. People do. Tough people do.
That is true. Quit focusing on the stupid shit too.
Yeah.
Don't focus on the stuff that doesn't matter. Yeah.
So I guess I'll end with me.
The best for last.
Personally, honestly, realistically, I never thought I would be in the position where I'm at right now. Honestly, I didn't have, as much as I was like a smart kid, I really had a lot of people doubting that I was even go to law school, much less, graduate. So I feel like I'm far beyond where I thought I would be when I was younger. I remember having a friend tell me, I don't really think law school's for you.
That's not a friend, bro.
I don't really see you as an attorney. And it's just,
do we know this person?
No, I don't think so.
And
and so like it feels good knowing that, I've exceeded expectations, and, mostly, for myself. And I feel like young Chris would be pretty proud because, like, man, I remember, after my first semester of college, I'm like, shit, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I already fucked up my first year. Like, I'm going to get kicked out. But, I made it work. I worked my ass off after, fucking up a lot. And, I think baby Chris would be proud that I'm going to, finally be a lawyer. And I never even thought that I would ever be a lawyer, it still sounds pretty crazy to think that I'm going to be a lawyer, like, for real. Like, honestly, like, you think about it, like, I don't know, like, the more I keep saying it just makes it seem more real. But I'm going to end the podcast with, with some advice. Honestly, you encapsulated it, Leo. Do not give up.
And set goals.
Because, honestly, you may seem stuck right now, and you may feel at a place where you're not going to progress, but life moves on. And, I see us, we're a group of good looking guys, and the sky's the limit. And I know we haven't reached our full potential yet. So I look forward to the future, especially with you guys being alongside with me. And I'm glad we're doing this. And we're glad that you've come along with us listening to the already canceled podcast. So I think we're going to end there. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Wow.